Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends Retro Collection J. Jonah Jameson figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And there's a real quick frontal view. Let's bust this bad boy open and see what's what. Alright, here we go. J. Jonah Jameson Jr., aka J. Jonah Jameson. His bio on the back of the package reads, tough, gruff, and loud. J. Jonah Jameson is a force to be reckoned with in the boardroom and on the front pages of the Daily Bugle. As the newspaper's editor-in-chief, Jameson is a perennial thorn in the side of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson is a long-time supporting character of the Spider-Man books. In fact, his first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man #1 in March of 1963. Like his bio mentioned, he's often depicted as the editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle, which is supposed to be like the New York Times, I guess, in New York City, but it's probably really more like the New York Post. He's also been depicted as the mayor of New York City in the comic books, but he's always been a pain in Spider-Man's, often obsessing over Spider-Man and always wanting photos and dirt on Spider-Man. He spent most of his time in the comic books not realizing that he was employing Spider-Man to take pictures of Spider-Man because Peter Parker worked at the Daily Bugle and would often take pictures of himself fighting crime and submitting them to the Bugle, which never really gave Jameson that closure he needed to really depict Spider-Man as the menace that he was trying to make him out to be, the criminal, the crook. Peter Parker always had one up on Jameson. The one time that I can remember that Jameson was hip to who Peter Parker was and that he was Spider-Man was during Civil War when Peter Parker came out and revealed to the world that he was Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure that got retconned during the events of Brand New Day or One More Day or one of those things with Mephisto. Which reminds me, I think Mephisto may be part of this Bring on the Bad Guys wave. Maybe he'll be the Build-A-Figure. We'll see. But anyway, this is our first official J. Jonah Jameson figure in the Marvel Legends line. We did get a J. Jonah Jameson head sculpt packed in with the Chameleon figure that was part of the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave some years ago, but this is our first official single-carded release of a full-on J. Jonah Jameson. And although that is true, this is truly just a kit bash. I mean, it's a lot of different parts put together here to make this Jameson figure. I think the only truly new thing is maybe the tie. Maybe the vest is new because the vest is actually a separate part and you can pull it off. The tie looks a little disheveled, looks a little crazy. I've seen some people complain about that, but I think it makes sense for a guy that's always ranting and raving and yelling and screaming and whatnot. While the head sculpt seems to be the same as the first one we got with Chameleon, I do think that the paint here may be a little different. Obviously, I'll break that head sculpt out. A lot of people kind of like army built that Chameleon to have a suited body, so a lot of J. Jonah Jameson heads and bends around the community, I'm sure. But it looks like the forearms were the same arms that we got with the MCU Claw figure, and then the lower body is basically just the lower body of the standard suited Marvel Legends figure, right down to the shoes, which seem to be the standard hard bottom shoes that we have been receiving as well. There's a quick look at them without the vest on, so you can see how that looks. You can definitely have him rock this look with just the dress shirt. Standard articulation for a male Marvel Legend. I'm not really a fan of how the head sits on the neck. There is a little bit of gappage there. I think his head doesn't quite sit on the peg as flush as I would like, but you do get a full range of motion there. Shoulders on a ball joint. You can do a full 360, upper bicep swivel. Single jointed elbow, that'll swivel on that joint as well. Swivel and a hinge on the wrist. Ab articulation back and forward. You do get waist articulation as well. T-joint at the pelvis. Legs come up that far. Split will look like that. Upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. and a hinge and a pivot on the foot. Now what I do like is what they did in terms of the hands. You do get a couple of interchangeable hands. So his right hand is open and cupped out of the package, and the left hand is a fist, as you've seen. And real quick, before we swap hands, he is packed in with this little rolled up newspaper. It looks to be the same exact accessory that we received with the retro Gwen Stacy figure. Obviously this is fitting for him, makes sense for a repack for this particular accessory with J. Jonah Jameson. And then he's also packed in with with a right hand that has the pointer finger extended, and this is worth the price of admission alone, in my opinion. You can't have a J. Jonah Jameson without having him with this particular hand gesture. This is much appreciated. And then he also has an additional left hand that's open and cupped, so that way he can hold the rolled up newspaper in either hand. And one final accessory here, what looks like a flattened out, fully sized newspaper, or at least fully sized and properly scaled for 6-inch figures. And it does have text and imaging on the back and the front. On the back here it says Daily Bugle. At the top there's a picture of the Electro figure. Electro speaks out. That print is really small. I guess I'll read that later. Spider-Borg sighting. And we can see the Cyborg Spider-Man, which is another retro carded figure that released recently. Empire State University apply now. And there's a better look at the front. Up at the top it says Wilson Fisk, Criminal Past, question mark, Oscorp, not guilty or flawed. This text is way too small. I don't have my glasses. Daily Bugle, Spider Sham, Masked, Miscreant, Menaces, Manhattan, Cat Burglar at Large, Mysterio, Back Behind Bars. So a lot of references to a bunch of different characters in Spider-Man's orbit and characters that we have figures of as well. So really cool. But yeah, there he is holding the Daily Bugle rolled up newspaper with both hands. There's a quick size comparison of the two biggest stresses in Peter Parker's life, his boss and his wife. And there's a look at the two head sculpts for J. Jonah Jameson we've received so far. So this one is the one that was packed in with the chameleon figure, and you can see that they have actually improved on the head sculpt here. The skin tone looks better. He doesn't look as shiny. The mustache is a little thicker and not as crooked. The eyebrows are bushier. The hair is white instead of gray. You know, the newer version is definitely better. While I would have liked a totally different facial expression, I do like that they improved it here. They definitely upped the ante and upped their game here as far as the paint applications and things go. One additional head sculpt would have been nice though. Maybe just an angry face without his mouth open or something like that. But for certain, the new retro version is the version to own. And a couple more quick size comparisons and I'm gonna get up out of here. So on the left is the Black Cat figure, which I just reviewed, also a retro carded figure. The retro carded Spider-Man. Smack dab in the middle is J. Jonah Jameson. Again, the bear pointing finger hand here is great. I have that here on Peter Parker. Skin tones don't quite match up, but you can fudge it. This is good for any character that is not gloved who you want to point. And then Mary Jane on the far right. And then real quick, couple of villains in here. I left Black Cat in the mix, and then this suited body is actually the Ross from the Ross and Killmonger 2-pack. This gray suited body. This is the old Norman Osborn Toy Biz head sculpt on this body. My new go-to Norman Osborn is the Logan from the Professor X and Logan 2-pack. That body with the retro unmasked Norman Osborn head, which should be popping up here. I just couldn't find the pieces I needed right this moment for this size comparison, but there's a picture of that. And then Rhino, who I know a lot of people want another go at. A lot of people have been asking if we'll get a single carded Rhino in this retro wave. I hope so. I hope we get that and a more neutral head sculpt without this really crazy manic look. This has served its purpose as far as A.C.B.A goes. It is a great head sculpt for picture taking. You know, it's so expressive. J. Jonah Jameson has had quite a few run-ins with the villains in New York City. Being the editor-in-chief of a newspaper, you know, he will often write about villains, and then they may show up at his job and ask him to keep that same energy. So a lot of potential here for playability, for taking pictures, A.C.B.A and what have you. This is definitely one I would recommend. This is a must own if you're a Spider-Man fan, no question about it. Wouldn't pass up on this. You should get out there, find it, get on the hunt. Thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell down there. And until next time, peace.
Now that's how we ride. I'm from the G side, Harlem uptown on the east side. My man, I'm 3 fly, so ain't no issue, I'm official tissue. A nigga foul, then I'ma blow the whistle. Although I'm feeling strong enough to throw a missile.